Welcome back to the Being Better Every Day podcast. It's been a while. It's been a couple of months since I last recorded a live podcast, and it really has been because my business has been busy. And so things that are for my business go to the back burner so I can really be there to support other people's businesses. I am on a journey to get better in all areas of my life, and I want to do it with you. Welcome to the Being Better Everyday podcast, where we dig deep into all the things a millennial mom needs to know. From how to juggle your passions with your full-time job, to asking the hard questions about hormones and health, and learning from one another along the way. I am Julie Wenslick, and as a mom, business owner, and corporate girly, sometimes life can feel like a lot. So join me in the journey of being better every day, where we create habits and routines that support your life, create calm in the chaos, and put the you back in your everyday. Grab those headphones, put on your shoes, and join me on a walk while we get started with today's episode. So for those of you who have listened to the podcast while I've been on break, I've continued to see downloads, and I truly, really appreciate it. Again, share an episode you like with your friends to help me grow and to help get this in front of small business owners who want to grow their business organically. In the meantime, I do episodes that are a little bit more fluid and what I would call a girl chat. It's pop in those headphones, take a walk, just act like we're friends talking on a long walk and giving each other, well, obviously I can't hear your side, but giving each other life updates. So I try to share behind the scenes of what it's really like to work in full-time corporate America, as well as trying to grow and run a business to help our family finances. And for those of you who aren't following me, go follow me over on Instagram at julie.pw designs. I'm not always just talking business. I'm certainly showing you the behind the scenes of what it's like on my everyday life. And there is no plan there. I just show up real and me. And sometimes I even forget to talk about my business. So, that is life. Anyway, so first things first, again, for those of you who have been around a while, thank you. OG podcast listeners, I seriously appreciate you. If you haven't already, please leave a review. It helps me grow and reach more women who need these kind of conversations in their life. My Being Better Everyday podcast was originally started with my planner business, and now it really has ebbed into being better every day in business and in life. And certainly as I focus on growing my business, the business side of things will be a little bit more heavy on the podcast, but I will try to pepper in habits, routines, and, again, just kind of balancing it with corporate America. So I have done a couple of episodes on this, but it's been a long time since I have given an update on my health journey. So I am a millennial mom navigating in my 30s, now late 30s. I don't love to admit that. And in my 30s, things shifted in a way that I didn't expect. If you don't know my full story, here's the short version. I had a pretty good pregnancy, aside from like pretty decent first trimester sickness. I felt really good postpartum. I felt strong and was losing my pregnancy weight. I did gain almost 50 pounds with pregnancy. And then I stopped breastfeeding around 9 to 10 months postpartum. And that's when the weight that I had lost postpartum slowly started to creep back on. My energy tanked, and for 3 years, I tried to figure out what the heck was going on. I tracked my nutrition, I worked out, kept telling my doctor that I didn't feel right. My anxiety was up. I just didn't feel like myself. And Western medicine, every time they did my labs, they're like, you're fine. Your labs are normal. I was told literally on my last appointment to just work out more and eat less, and that I'm just not doing that right. And it was super infuriating because I knew that something was off. That led me almost 2 years ago now to Minneapolis Integrative Medicine. And although it is an out-of-network provider with my traditional health insurance, I chose to go that route because I wanted answers and I wanted to feel better and I wanted to make sure that I was taking care of the root cause instead of just putting a band-aid on it because my family's medical history isn't the greatest. So through proper testing, I was diagnosed back in August of 23 with Hashimoto's, adrenal fatigue, hormone imbalances, and deficiencies in iron, vitamin D, and testosterone. And since then, I've gone mostly gluten-free and dairy-free. I've started a supplement protocol. I made small changes to support my body. And it certainly hasn't been a straight line. I've felt frustrated at times because I thought the weight was just gonna like fall off, which newsflash, it didn't. But I am starting to finally see progress, and I certainly feel a lot better. I have a lot better energy. I just feel mentally more clear and balanced. My anxiety meds certainly do help with that, but also like I've learned the connection between everything in our bodies, and like the fact that I'm low on iron and vitamin D actually does increase anxiety levels in people. And I just know so much more about how the body's connected. So for those of you who know Hashimoto's, I've cut my Hashimoto's antibodies in half. I'm not in remission yet, but I'm in progress. I'm not on a thyroid med. I am on a thyroid supplement, which is a natural supplement to help me metabolize my, I don't know, T3 to T4 or something like that. And it has helped. And I'm also on LDN, which is an anti-inflammatory, which has also helped. My adrenal fatigue is probably the thing that has not helped or moved the needle at all in 2 years. And that's not really surprising in my current season of life. I certainly am working a lot between my two jobs and then, family life on top of that and trying to keep our household up and our finances and the things that go wrong. So, yeah. And I don't really know if my adrenal fatigue will really get better until I figure out how to work less. And at this point, that's not really a priority for myself because of our financial priorities. But I am doing other things to support my energy, like delaying caffeine and prioritizing rest. And I, okay, a little bit of a tangent here, but I think it drives me nuts, this whole like, I'm not necessarily pro hustle, right? I'm not for working to work, but I am for working to get your family in a better financial position and to get us to where we want financially for our dreams, and that is paying off our student loans, which I was making really great progress for. I'll go into that later, but maybe in the community that I've seen, maybe in the people that I surround myself with, there's a ton of people talking about working part-time hours, making full-time income. Well, newsflash, my small business is now making an entry-level full-time job. And I still, right, can't quit my corporate job because my corporate job is not an entry-level income. I pay all of our financial bills. I 90% support our family financially. And it takes work. It takes doing both for us to get out of this position because shit's expensive nowadays. And I, we're not, I mean, it kind of feels like it sometimes, but we're not scraping by financially, right? We're trying to get to a point where we have zero debt, where we can afford vacations that we want to go on. And I mean like European vacations, not camping, get to that kind of financial freedom that I've always envisioned. And that takes work. I absolutely envision slowing down when our student loans are paid off. Right now, we are paying $1,400 a month in student loans. I was paying $2,500 a month in student loans earlier this year. We'll get to that, but I will be back there later this year as well. But yeah, it it takes work, and I think that doesn't necessarily I'm trying to support myself the way that I can physically and emotionally, but there is a trade-off, and my mental health has gone through some pretty big ups and downs lately. I so I have struggled with anxiety probably my whole life, but it really got exacerbated with my child. And I went off anxiety meds accidentally. I swear to God, I don't know. My sister-in-law says you're always looking for something. I just lose things. Anyway, I went off anxiety meds in May because I lost them. And I was waiting for my annual doctor's appointment because I knew I couldn't refill my prescription because they have this rule, right? You have to see a doctor every year in order to be able to refill your prescription. And I had like 3 weeks until my doctor's appointment. So I went off my anxiety meds for almost a month in May. And yeah, that did not work. I had some pretty massive Anxiety days. I had days where Danny was triggering me with stupid shit that like wouldn't trigger a normal person, but does trigger me. I had a day where I was just like crying after work for hours, and that's not normal. And so I got back on anxiety meds, and things have leveled out. But it is that like, oh, you're feeling fine, you're feeling great. I don't need them anymore. And then you get off of them and you're like, just kidding, I totally need them. But what I think really helped was that at my last appointment, turns out that things like low iron and low vitamin D, like I said, also impact the levels of serotonin, and my body cannot is not making enough serotonin because of my lack of testosterone, low iron, adrenal fatigue, and vitamin D. And so it's not just, it's kind of that mental game of like, it's not just me being weak, it's my body literally not having enough levels to make the serotonin that I need. And so I'm working, right, from a supplement perspective to get those levels up. It's understandable why, with my season of life, that I also need additional support. And understanding those root causes even helped me mentally, right? If I was just somebody who was going Western medicine wise and just was, getting prescribed the anxiety meds, but really not understanding why, maybe that I need more support than I would think, has been super helpful. Also gotten back in the habit of doing therapy, even if it's for a half an hour every 2 weeks, just to kind of have that check-in. So I can't rave enough about having that kind of more functional integrative medicine approach. They are doctors, so they can prescribe. It is out of network, so it is a cash pay only practice. But candidly, like, we're actually even evaluating coming off of my corporate life health insurance because it's super expensive with a super high deductible, and going to kind of like a cost sharing thing. So if you have done a health share, message me on Instagram. I would love to talk to you, especially if you're like listening to this before September of 2025. Anyway, so I digress. If you're in your 30s or early 40s, especially heading into perimenopause, I highly recommend getting a full picture of your health because it's worth investing in your body and education around it. I know I've heard of like companies like MIDI Health too. I listen to a podcast that's sponsored by MIDI Health. I don't know them, but I know like the concept of it. And certainly there are online resources if you do live in a small town that maybe doesn't have as much like in-person functional medicine options. And I could absolutely do all of this remotely. You get your labs done at a local lab clinic, they send it to the provider, and then you just do everything remotely. So, again, if you're like, I live in a small town, I don't have this resource, I don't know who I would go to, there are certainly online options that can help educate you on your hormones and your health as well. So, I think one of the things that I have been really struggling with in this season of life is mental health. Like I said, I get asked a lot, like, how do I do it all? And the answer is I don't. I just do the next right thing. I'm super intentional with my time, especially with Danny. I may not spend 5 hours a day with her, but I do make sure that I spend quality time with her every week. And I'm recording this as getting off of actually a week with her up in northern Wisconsin, which was amazing. We go paddleboarding, we go rollerblading, we go biking. I mean, rollerblading for her is like a crawl, but I love that intentional time. I make sure that I'm not distracted during the hour I get with her a day. But I think on the mental health, like even though I'm feeling good right now, my least favorite question over the last couple of months has been, how are you? Because the truth is, like, I'm good, but I'm also overwhelmed. I'm exhausted. I'm not meal prepping. I'm not slowing down. I'm just getting through it in a lot of ways. Now, July is a slower month traditionally from my corporate job. However, we have our national practice meeting in Chicago this year. So, like, I will be busier in July than normal. I will be traveling for work. I have August travel. Like, there's just a lot. I had a few breakdowns in May. My mental resilience, as far as being triggered, is a lot lower than it normally is. I'm okay with not being okay sometimes. And if you're in a hard season too, sometimes like you're not alone, especially if everyone's version of hard looks different. Like it doesn't make yours less valid. My therapist recently asked if you didn't have anxiety. My biggest mental health struggle now is not necessarily handling the anxiety. It is feeling the guilt around having anxiety and feeling like I should be better than my anxiety. She asked me, if you didn't have anxiety, what would you struggle with? Or what would be your struggle, right? Because everyone has something. And we all have something. And at least I know how to navigate mine, and I have tools, I have awareness, and that counts for something. So, yes, I might be killing it financially this year, but mentally, I'm managing, I'm making intentional choices, I'm doing my best I can. I will be implementing some yoga in July because also my like muscles are really tight. So, yoga and Pilates for me for July, but certainly like those are my little ways of winning in this season. Now, the other thing is, oh, just briefly, I need to talk about, because I've certainly fallen off the wagon, but I will get back on it this week, is my life hack right now around tracking goals. I am really, really struggling with remembering my goals. I will set things and then I forget them. A friend got me on this app called Finch. It is free and it's a habit tracker. So I've been ignoring him the last week. I'm sure he's super mad at me, but it's like this little bird you grow and it reminds you to do your habits. It suggests some, but you can set your own. Taking supplements is a habit that I have in there. Not having caffeine for the first 90 minutes of the day, taking a walk break. Those are things that are in the habits in Finch. And it's just this like daily reminder and checklist that like, hey, you set personal goals for yourself. Remember that you did that because I don't remember. The other thing is I've been using ChatGPT. I do have the paid version for tracking my nutrition. It's actually just a lot quicker than my Fitness Pal, and sometimes it will like totally make shit up, but I usually will take a picture of the nutrition facts on whatever I'm eating or whatever I'm compiling, if possible. Or if I'm making a recipe, I will literally just put the website in there and have it calculate macros based on the amount of servings. So it has been super helpful for me because it's quicker than my Fitness Pal, and I will often fall off the track of my Fitness Pal because it takes time. And like I said, I have fallen off the wagon the last 2 weeks with summer and with like we've had a lot of travel and a lot of family and whatnot. I will be getting back on that and, you know, being better about tracking my nutrition and certainly my protein intake. Raise your hand if you've ever tried chasing invoices, answering the same emails over and over again, or forgetting to send that proposal, or just having the clunkiness of sending the proposal, getting it back, then sending a new email with the contract, getting that back, then sending the invoice. Yeah, same. That's why I have been integrating and starting to use Dubsado. It's a client management system that automates the mundane stuff that I honestly don't have time for working a full-time job and running my business on the side. Workflows, contracts, forms, scheduling. Dubsado does it all while I get back to doing what I actually love, which is designing. So if you want to try it, you can get 20% off with my code. Just head to buypwdesigns.com/marketing-resources to grab the link. Trust me, it's a game changer. Yes, it's a beast to implement, but buy your templates on Etsy, get started, and you will not regret automating. Again, head to buypwdesigns.com/marketing-resources to find your code as we head into July. Now, from a kind of again, life update, switching gears a little bit, career update. I have been working in corporate finance since 2009. By day, if you are new here, I am a licensed financial advisor and retirement plan consultant. I work with companies on their 401k and pension plans, making investment recommendations, managing their compliance, and working closely with the executives to ensure that their benefits meet the employee needs. And I love that part of my job. I love getting to see behind the scenes of businesses and really understand what drives decisions on a executive level. And by night and early mornings and weekends, I run P&W Designs, where I help small business owners with branding, web design, and SEO. I shifted into this niche at the start of 2024, and it's grown way faster than I imagined. So much so that I'm currently booking into September if my current proposals book, maybe October. And it's a lot. Every night, every weekend, I'm working. And even though I love it, it does add up, especially in the summer when I just want to be outside and relax and be with my daughter. I have certainly slowed down on working this summer compared to the winter time because I do love being outside so much. But again, I'm the breadwinner. I carry our health insurance. I pay all of our bills, the student loans, the house payment. Leaving my corporate job is not an option yet. Once we paid off our student loans, I will reevaluate what our financial goals look like and decide like what we want to do. I was aggressively paying down our student loans this year to be on track to pay them off by Q3 of next year, with paying down about $2,500 a month in student loans. That shifted in the last 2 months because Matt's truck took a kaput. I was going to swear. It's an old truck. It's a 2015. It has 210,000 miles on it. He has definitely driven it to the ground. And finally, it was unrepairable. So we did figure out how to get a new used truck. It's a 2017, but instead of having 200,000 miles on it, it now has 50,000 miles on it. We paid cash for some of it, and we did borrow for some of it, which sucks. I would have loved to just like pay cash for a vehicle and not have another car payment, but that's just not where we're at right now. And honestly, like used vehicles are super expensive right now. I know that's not a surprise, but the fact that, you're buying an 8-year-old truck, granted low mileage, but still like an 8-year-old truck for what do we pay? $23,000. Now, the Kelly Blue Book on it is 30, which is great, but like still, I mean, $23,000 for something that's 8 years old is kind of insane, especially since we're going to get like 2,000 for his because of the mileage and the fact that it doesn't run. Anyway, so now I'm replenishing some of our savings that we used to purchase the truck. We also have Danny's tuition payment next month. And so after that, I will be back to paying down our student loans. But it certainly is disappointing because I work this hard and I just want to be able to like use my business income for what I want to use it for. But that's why I'm pushing so hard in this business because it gives us options. It gives us the ability to move faster financially. And it really has helped, like, with our financial goals. So I would say, as a wrap up, certainly health update, career update, and side note, I am speaking to our national practice on a panel in July. So I was recognized for knowing the most as a service consultant on M&A, which is pretty cool. But, I certainly have had small joys and I am trying to prioritize enjoying the summer. I've already read 25 books this year, mostly romance, some historical fiction. I've paddleboarded every week. While I was in Wisconsin, I paddleboarded every day. I'm trying to teach my daughter how to rollerblade. Matt got me a bike at Goodwill, and so I've been going for bike rides. Danny's been going for bike rides too, which is super fun. Like I'll rollerblade and she bikes. Juggling a full-time job is a lot. Growing a business is a lot on top of managing motherhood, marriage, mental health, and big financial goals. And I'm not saying it's for everyone. I certainly am somebody also who like, I don't know, I have this weird like, I'll just figure it out. Even if I don't know how to do something, I'm like, yeah, I'll just figure it out. I know how to do it. And so I thrive on working. My therapist even was like, if you're struggling or having a hard day, like prioritize work because that brings you joy. So it's not just like, hey, financial goals. It truly does bring me joy. So yeah, I will, as we go into the next couple of weeks, my podcast will be back every other week. I have a ton of really good episodes scheduled for the next quarter. I am scheduled out until October 15th on podcast episodes, and they will all be kind of centered around hearing about other small business owners' stories, people I've worked with, as well as SEO, branding, and web design. So certainly more of a business tilt over the next couple of months. I will be doing an episode on back to school, kind of fitting that in there too, on schedule changes and routines and stuff. But again, stick around. Thank you for being here and share this episode if it resonated with you. I'd love to hear from you as well. DM me with questions or topics you want me to talk about. Somebody did ask for a finances episode. That will be during Q4 because I'm already scheduled out, but I definitely will go more into how we track our business finances. Maybe if I'm thinking about switching banks, and if I do, I will have the founder of that bank on because I think she would love to come on. It's a bank in the cities that focuses solely on entrepreneurs that I just got connected with. thank you again for being here. And thanks for listening and thanks for being part of this journey. And until next time, keep on taking one step towards being your version of being better every day. And that's a wrap on today's episode of the Being Better Everyday podcast. Thank you for listening. I truly appreciate each listener. If you've enjoyed the conversation, I'd love if you would leave a rating and review or share it with your bestie to help me reach more women looking to ask the hard questions and live above that status quo. To see any visuals, head over to my YouTube channel. Links, socials, and resources mentioned can be found in today's show notes. If you're looking for more, you can find me on Instagram at P&W Designs, sharing the behind the scenes of my everyday life as a millennial mom, corporate girly, and small business owner. Until next time, keep on taking one step at a time towards your version of being better every day.